Okay.
Live right now. Happy Sunday, everyone. And good to be here again, once again. I trust you've had a great weekend and it's the
We're
beginning
not
of the.
live yet. Are we live?
Yes, we are. We are live. It's already showing. So, we're here to review chapter 7 of the book Shining in Your Spotlight. And we have an interesting topic today, embracing continuous personal development, because that's like the key to growth in general. I have with me Sonia again. Sonia, thank you for joining me again today.
Always a pleasure.
All
Sorry,
right.
I'm gonna do MIA. I want to pick up my phone to share.
Okay. All right. Okay, we can do that. I too would find the link and share as well. You back?
Yep.
Okay. So today we have an interesting topic, right? It's all about personal development, personal growth, as you may call it. And there's an interesting quote from Brian Tracy here that says, "Continuous personal and professional development is your key to the future. Your key to the future. Like that's what you need to be able to make leaps as you go in life." But from my own perspective, it's not complete except you are covering the three key aspects of every human, which is your spirit, your soul, and your body. Your spirit, your soul, and your body. So, personal development for me is nurturing the spirit, soul, and body. For me, that's like a profound truth I just realized, because I've heard this thing before where it said that you can be focusing on personal, maybe developing your body, and you're not focusing on your, maybe you're also focusing on developing your mind, right? Which is, of course, through reading books, getting knowledge. But what about your spirit, man? And that's the spiritual aspect. So for me, it's only complete when you have those three aspects covered. What do you have to
Yeah, just like you said here, continuous personal and professional development is the key to our future. There is
say?
this saying that when we stop learning, we start dying. So it
Mm,
means there's nothing new about you. There's nothing challenging about you. Because if you're hungry for a better life, nothing will stop you from
yeah.
learning, continuous learning, not even fear, no doubts, no excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are continuously improving yourself,
Yeah.
knowing what you want. That hunger to learn will drive you to growth.
Yeah.
Because everything, I always use the word seed, like everything we, is like when you're studying the scripture, right? And you're
Mm-hmm.
just submerging the whole knowledge. The
Yeah.
time you meditate, you realize it's not just about the sentences you're reading.
Yeah.
There are deeper knowledge to what you've read. And over time, thank God for the gift of the Holy Spirit. It kind of expand your mind to each chapter and each knowledge area that you've pointed or touched in from the
Mm-hmm.
scripture.
Yeah.
That's also what happens when you are reading, because you never know when that knowledge will be needed.
Yeah. True.
you know,
Yeah.
you never can, like, when that knowledge will be needed. The kids can come asking one question like, and even as parents, right? They put us on our toes like you need to be ahead of them, even though they have all the things coming, and that's the beautiful part about knowledge. It's wholesome. It gives you that confidence to go on anything in life. Imagine going for an exam you didn't read for. You get it? You are
Mm-hmm.
anxious, you are scared. In fact, you already failed before going there, because then in your mind, you don't know if you can conquer what it takes, right?
Yeah.
Unlike when you have the knowledge, even if you don't know what the whole maybe options are, right? With
Mm-hmm.
the knowledge that you've
Yes, you
built,
have.
you'll be
You
able
can.
to thrive.
Yes, exactly. True.
Get it? So
Yeah.
embracing personal development is not for an instant use, it's a continuous thing
Yeah.
that we need to imbibe for ourselves, even if you're not in school or even if you're not, doing something for, because most times, like an average, I know that one's for sure, an average human, especially adults, once we stop like anything school and all that, people
Exactly.
barely, that's it for book. They
Yeah.
can't wait till I finish and not carry any book. Don't tell me anything. But they forget that every day of our lives we are being tested.
Mm-hmm.
Every day there are things that come our way that require those knowledge. And
Yes.
sometimes the knowledge we get from school, I
Mm-hmm.
call it auxiliary knowledge. the knowledge for us to use to get the whole job, not a life knowledge.
Yes, yeah. So
Yeah,
that life is a school on its own that requires a different set of
yeah,
skills to learn, a different set of
yeah.
knowledge to be gained in totality. And like you said, most people come out of school. I think at some point I was in that school of thought, not fully though. Yeah, not fully, but I was like, this school that has stressed me so much, I'm not going to any other. So you can imagine, right? Like that kind of mindset, you just want to you would think that you're going to make progress, but at some point you realize that no, life continues and you have to keep learning and growing on the journey. Imagine that you want to become a business person. You need business knowledge.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
want to grow spiritually, you need spiritual knowledge, right? So the list is endless. There's so much you can learn. Financial knowledge is something that is separate on its own. You know what I mean, right? Like
Exactly. Yeah.
of life that we have to continue to grow, to learn, and to evolve. So here I was talking about the fact that the most valuable acquisitions you have in life is not your material possessions, right? It's not about the investment, it's about the investment you make in your own personality. So
Mm-hmm.
investing in your personality is like the costliest. It could be the costliest actually, like
It
because
is.
you might be thinking "Maybe the one you paid to go to school was costly enough." You know what I mean, right? And that's just little compared to what you need to do to grow continually, because that's the only way you can unlock what's inside of you and attain
You
the
know,
full.
when you said it goes beyond the word costless, right?
Mm,
Because with the one you pay to go, you
mm,
and pressure to do it. Now,
exactly.
the one that is about
Oh
you
God. Yes.
is more challenging to
More
pick up
challenge.
because you're not looking at the monetary value. You're
Mm-hmm.
not looking at yourself being
Yeah.
valuable. Most times that's all. I have people who tell me, I don't like reading. I don't
Mm-hmm.
like it. I'm like, so how do you want to be the person you want to be? Because these things come with the knowledge. When
Yes.
people want to make money, right? I want to make big money, but you have the knowledge of how money works.
How money works.
You get
Do you
it?
have
So
the knowledge of what people do? Those that have money, what they do
exactly,
to
you
make
get
the
it.
money.
So
Like
when
yes.
you say that costless reward of pursuit, it comes with discipline and
Oh
it
my,
comes with having principle to learn.
that word is
Being willing.
yes.
Trust me, being willing. Because most times, if we're not confined in the arena of school where we paid to get it, right, is a whole lot difficult for, I'm going to use the word a typical black man, to go
Mm-hmm.
buy a book that
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be assessed or write exam on
Yes.
to read.
Yeah.
And when they're reading it, they're reading maybe because you forced them or you give them as a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm going to use this, I'm calling my husband out. There's a book here. A friend wrote it and gave him. This
Mm.
is still very new. He brought it and dropped it here, like you, the reader.
Read first. Read it first.
Read
Yeah.
it first. It's
Mm.
still, this is more than 6 months in my house, right? So
Mm.
recently he just brought it. It's still very new. The way the nylon is still around the whole thing. He brought it as a gift. I'm like, do you know what the book is about? Like, can you even discuss or comment like with your friend, like that gave you the book
Mm.
about it? He's like, please, is it like me? I don't, that kind of a thing.
Yes.
It is very costly, and even in the times of discipline. And that's why a lot of us, we miss the opportunities
Yeah.
because people fail to read in between the line. They
Mm-hmm.
fail to read the trajectory of what is happening. How is the thing happening? Am I following the knowledge area of what is happening now?
Yeah.
And you
Mm.
miss out. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the regret we're talking about.
Yes. And this costly, like you're drawing my attention to it now. It's not monetary value. It's a
It is
whole
not.
than that. Like
Yes.
it's too expensive.
Even if you want to put monetary, it's more expensive to
Even
miss
more
out
expensive.
in the
Yes.
knowledge. Okay, let's just move away from book, right? Let's
Mm-hmm.
go towards the tax system here. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the knowledge of how you can get more back,
Mm-hmm.
you at the mercy of the government, right? So
Exactly.
you
Yes.
want to read to
To
get the
understand.
knowledge
Yes.
because you will lose out.
Yep. Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
it? And some
Yes.
people will not read. They will not still be in the community or in the midst of people who read that can assist them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they get to pay you that read for the knowledge that they would have gotten for less.
Yeah.
You get the
True.
concept. So
Yeah.
when that word costly, like I had to put the hyper, is very, very costly.
Costly. It's very costly.
Not to,
Not
embrace this
impulsive.
knowledge of every day inculcating in yourself to read, not
Mm-hmm.
just a book about things or novel or whatever, something in the area that you are deficient of. Okay.
Exactly. Oh
So
yes.
if you are not understand, if anything that we like we said here doesn't make sense to you and anything, find out what are the things I don't know much about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The
Yes.
beautiful part in this life is the fact that you could go to your own doctor and argue a diagnosis with your doctor. That's because you read. That
Mm-hmm.
way, they will not Google to give you medication.
Yeah, information.
Because
Yes.
they
Or
know
medication. Yeah.
you have done your research
So,
and you've read.
yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
in handling is a top-notch care
Mm-hmm.
because you have the knowledge area. And that
Mm-hmm.
is what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about you being willing to learn,
To learn.
to gain from life, because
Yeah.
life will continuously assess you. The
Yeah.
assessment, you don't need to write any test, but
Mm-hmm.
it continually assess your knowledge area in every walk of life,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. I can also give a typical example about how maybe your microwave broke or something in your house damaged, right? And you went to call the experts to come and do it for you. And then the man came and just did one tiny thing, and you have to pay so much because you did not know, right? That's just a typical example. Then now
Yeah.
bringing it to all this scenario you've given in life context, you
Mhm.
pay more. I mean, microwave is just like a typical example, but you pay more for what you don't know.
No,
So
yeah.
the best part is to embrace the ability to keep learning in this life's journey so that you can make impacts or you can make progress for yourself as you go. And as you said, it's important to find the areas you're deficient in and
Yeah.
start from there. That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's so powerful. This is only the first paragraph. Yeah, just the first paragraph. Okay, so I'll just move on to the second paragraph where I talked about the fact that positive changes equate to growth. So if you stop making those changes, you inevitably stop growing. For me, there's nothing like you are staying stagnant because the world is fast moving. The pace of everything is going right. So if you're not making those changes and you're not making that growth, then it's like you're declining, even if you do not
Yeah.
know it. But eventually, it's going to show up. That decline will show up eventually, right? That's what for me positive growth is. So take it as
In all that we do, that knowledge still, is still. I know. I love what you talked about in terms of you start regressing. Like when you go to school now, right?
mhm, mhm,
You know that this particular IT area, you know it so well.
mhm.
Now imagine they update the whole Microsoft
Oh
from
boy.
10 to
Yeah.
Windows 11. You need to
Mhm,
know it.
mhm.
Everything they're not waiting for you whether you want to learn it or not. They
Yeah.
are upgrading on a fast pace.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
imagine now there is so much competition in terms of the software generating AI things, right?
Mhm.
Everybody is trying to make their own like brand more than this one, more than so you need to meet up with the knowledge area of where these people are driving to.
Yes.
Recently we talked about the whole Canva thing. Canva has been a platform where everybody enjoy with their creative and all that. They
Yes.
added another thing.
They've
With the
got-
knowledge they've gotten from different people that have launched their own
Mhm.
AI, they implemented something more higher. Now, this is more like a competition now to those ones
Mhm.
because they will have to also upgrade to meet that standard. Because
Yeah.
this is like the market here.
Yeah.
Everybody is being so you need to actually put yourself in the midst of these are business people, right? In the
Yes.
midst of these people and tell yourself, you know what? If these people can come up with S, Y, and Z innovations just because they want to compete in the market,
Yeah.
why can't I? And
Yes.
it all starts from the willingness
Oh boy.
to
So,
learn.
and now let me just say what just came to my mind right now. You talking about the willingness to learn means that everybody needs to. There's nobody that should say, "I am not somebody who reads."
Yeah,
That should never be. That should never be you, because you have to be willing to learn to be able to make that growth.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I like what you said about the stake reality being the that failure often arises from the void left in the absence of intentional success. And
Mhm.
someone mentioned last week, the person was retrenched from it. She said, "Oh, they were laughing with me," and the next day they said she was out of job. I said, "Did you do anything?" She said, "No." I said, "Okay, now we're talking about this." It just made me realize if you have proven your relevance,
Mm-hmm.
nobody can retrench you. Like the value you place on the table
Yeah.
in your place of work,
Mm-hmm.
you are so valuable that anything they can, not you.
Yeah.
If you're looking at anybody, they will look at people who have been static in a particular level,
Yeah.
not even bringing anything to the table. But
Mm-hmm.
you that brings in the value, you are
Yeah.
very vocal in terms of volunteering to do things and everything, because
Yeah.
they see your knowledge area is not at the level of those people who do not learn or read.
Yeah.
They can't come to retrench you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it will not be you. Those options are not even something they would debate on, because they know the value
Value
you
that you bring to
to
the table.
get it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Everybody, like you said here, is composed of three fundamental elements, both the spirit, soul, and the body. To comprehend its significance is essential to acknowledge that every individual is at their core a spirit residing within a soul, encapsulated by a tangible body.
Yeah.
Eat food to make this body grow. How are you feeding the spirit?
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeding the soul? It's okay to go to shop and buy the latest brand for this body, because you're growing big, you want to change sizes. But what is carrying the body?
Mm-hmm.
How are you addressing it, or how are you dressing it?
That's your core. The inner person is the core that you need to work on even
That
more.
is where everything comes from.
Yeah. From
that is
inside.
it. That is even where the whole concept of your own, what we call fashion sense, come from. So how are you dressing that? You get what I mean, right? How are you
Mhm.
dressing that foundation of the body?
Yeah.
You get it?
Yes.
So,
So
and that's where people don't miss the whole thing.
I know, yeah. So people don't look inwards for the most part when it comes to even things like this. Here I talked about the fact that the unseen dimensions of the spirit and the soul is what is carrying more profound significance than the body, right? So
Yeah.
anyone listening to this today, just know that if you want to start your personal development journey, or even if you're there, you need to continue to find ways to improve yourself from within. And I think for me, it starts from a place of discipline, because you
Yeah.
cannot successfully implement anything without a consistent discipline to achieve this growth we're talking about. All right. So here I talked about in the pursuit of self improvement, many may tend to prioritize external. Okay, like we already talked about that, right? Like educating your mind and nurturing your body. So do not neglect the most important element, which is the spirit. That's the core of who you are. So I
Yeah.
have the quote here from Joel Osteen that said, "Feed your inner man, strengthen your spirit, and your body will be healthy." So it's more like inevitably, because once you're focused on those key areas, the body will follow.
Yeah.
Let every passing day be an opportunity for you to keep on enriching yourself spiritually from the higher source, of course, which is God in this case, right? Because that's who we believe in God. And yeah.
So it's more when you talk about embracing the divine connection and you unearthing the essence of your true self. And sometimes this is so deep because in embracing it comes with building relationship. In
Mm-hmm.
building relationship comes with the knowledge that you have of God,
God, yes.
because He will be to you what you want Him to be to you.
Yeah.
Okay? But you could see some people will say, "Oh, I exercised my faith, I didn't get healed," or "Oh, I did." How much of God do you know? It's like having maybe a surgeon, right? Let's say a particular a surgeon who, because they have a different aspects, a spine surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
You want to now leave spine and go do a C-section,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're
Yeah.
going to be worrying like that place is questionable for you, not what you're used to. But then when you are going to your spine, when you are used to, you know if there's any abnormality around that area. How
Yeah.
much an in-depth of God do you know in terms
Mm-hmm.
of we're looking at the divine, being that He is? Our relationship to Him or with Him is what kind of gives us the results that we want.
Yes. I've always said this thing. I'm sure we've discussed that in a previous chapter. You cannot truly know yourself if you do not know God. Like,
Mhm.
that is the first awareness you come to when you realize that there is a God and you have that initial relationship with Him.
Yeah,
As you grow in Him, to know Him, you get to understand yourself better. You get to understand your purpose better. You get to understand everything about life and the world in general more just from knowing God. So that's the best place to start.
Yeah. You know, when you said the pathway of nourishing your spirit involves practice, such as the prayer, the study, the Bible, the meditation. Even the Bible said, find yourself approve.
Mm-hmm.
And it went down to say, my people perish for lack of understanding,
Yeah.
not lack of reading, not lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. Because sometimes we read some of those things as story. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
always say that I might read this down, right? And I come back to it. It's a different understanding altogether
There
I
you
have
go.
of this
Mm-hmm.
particular chapter. And
Yeah.
even when we talk about it, I don't see it in that realm I'm seeing when we're talking about it. So
Exactly. Like something else
everything-
unveils to you. Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
everything we know, okay, the more you come back to it, the more you maintain on it, the more you have a new revelation about you yourself,
Yeah.
what you're capable of. And is on the place of willing to learn that your talents are being exposed to you.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
On the place of you being willing to learn, like we said, I talked about last week about your purpose. Your
Mm-hmm.
purpose, a lot of people don't know, are being revealed to
Why
you.
it feels unveiled. Like you just know it. It's there since all these years, since you were a kid. But that's when
Because
you begin to see it,
exactly.
like an opening
Because
of your
you're
eyes.
seeking it out now. You're ready to seek it out. Okay?
Exactly.
And this is
Exactly.
when you're ready to have it. And that's how God is. He doesn't dump things on us. He's not that very wicked father that will say, go study this because he wanna, he
Mm-hmm.
gives you time to be ready for that which you are. He has
Yes.
made you ready. But
Yeah.
then you'll have to be ready for it because the task might be too big for you to handle when you
Mm-hmm.
don't have the knowledge to carry or let me use the word capacity to carry the assignment.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know, I remember something you said last week about yourself, right? Like when you were younger, it was you that used to bring to the middle of, settling issues and all those kinds of things. That's to say that you always had that in you, but it was not fully developed at that point, right? But as
Yeah.
you begin to evolve as a person, you now know who you are. Now you're able to deploy that thing that was always there, and
Yeah.
your personality has come out. So you see how you can evolve as an introvert into something else that you never thought you were, right? That's the way that this journey of growth opens you up to new realms. If you thought you were
Mhm.
an introvert, before you know it, you can see yourself doing things that introverts will not usually do, for example, and so many other things. You were once shy, but all of a sudden, this is now me, right? So
Exactly. And it's
that's
like prioritizing the enrichment of your spirit. You
mhm,
open the door to the malleability that
yeah,
defines the preconceived notion about the unchangeable traits.
yes,
And that talked about last week.
hmm
Sometimes like we talk about now, like being shy. Oh, I can't come to the camera.
hmm
Never say that because you don't know what you're capable of doing.
exactly.
Honestly, we are
Never
a
say
witness.
never. Never say never.
You get
Yes,
prioritizing that enrichment of your spirit, that's what opens the door. In fact,
yeah,
that is a summary of the whole thing we talked about last week, to be
yes,
honest.
yeah,
Because when you do that, you realize what you're made of. You realize that you are made for more. You realize that area of you where you want to consistently develop. And that
exactly.
now you've been willing to learn more. How do I? It's like when you know you're a software engineer, right? You're asking yourself, how do I deploy the whole whatever queue, whatever you put on the code and
Yeah,
everything to
yeah,
make things. So you keep learning and keep discovering and keep working at it to
yeah,
actually perfect in it. And you're confident in that.
yeah.
And nobody can take it away from you.
So that's the beauty of it. It's yours forever. Like
It's yours.
stays with you, and that kind of it grows your personality and your confidence in who you are, right? Because now you know
Yeah.
who you are. Nobody's going to be able to mess around with you or control you because now you've come to the realization of self. So
Yeah.
if you know this, that this is what personal development is to you, now that you know, right, from what we've discussed so far, then I think this should be a priority to everyone. Do not say
Mhm.
I do not have time to read books. Do not say I do not have time to get the knowledge I need to get, or deepen myself in spiritual, activities that will make me know more about who I am and who God is to me. So yeah, Sonia, I know you have another engagement. I'm conscious of time.
Yeah,
Right?
we're gonna stop on this page
Mm-hmm.
because we have more to discuss, and I don't want us to rush it because this is so deep.
Oh
Because
yeah,
I know the next paragraph talks about embracing the ever evolving landscape, and this is where we are at the moment in terms of life,
yeah.
in terms of the mysteries and innovations of AI.
Mm-hmm.
in terms of being willing to allude ourselves to what is happening now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have not realized that we are in another era.
Mm-hmm.
And the era isn't the era of our fathers or about a norm.
Not about the era of our fathers,
Okay?
honestly.
So
Yeah.
the era is the era where nobody is in the hide. You have to step up in
Yeah.
terms of learning, in terms of representing you. If
Self, yes.
not,
Mm-hmm.
if not,
Mm-hmm.
there is no telling
Next
or
time, yeah.
saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Honestly.
know, the regret that comes with it. So we're gonna end on this page and we
Yeah.
continue from that paragraph, that's page 47 next week.
Mm-hmm.
And like I tell you guys, is way beyond what we're explaining here, honestly. And that's this book is, I call it a life principle, like it's a life Bible, apart from the scriptures that we know. That why is because it builds you at every core.
Yeah.
There is no area that this did not touch.
It
The
touches
spiritual,
everything. Yeah.
the body, and the soul. And it helps you navigate what is happening in this era. And that's why I know I always tell her that this book came in such a time as this because it's Holy Spirit, like it's spirit filled, and God knows that this is what we all need at this time. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you've been following or you want to follow through this, okay, it's on Amazon. The link is there. But if you don't find it, send a DM. Okay, we are willing to guide you to the process, but this is what you want to give a friend and also have it for yourself.
Yeah.
But as big day gifts, if you're a gifter like I, you want to buy books and give people, okay?
Yeah.
And this, like, trust me, is gonna bless their life and they will forever grateful. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for listening. If you're working or watching the replay, thank you so much for joining us to go through this process of this book review. We'll see you again next week, and we're going to continue from this topic of personal development, embracing continuous personal development, because that's the key to your growth and your success and your future. So
Yeah.
until next week, stay blessed and have a great and an amazing week. Bye.
Bye.